Joining us on NDTV this afternoon is Sajith Premadasa, the leader of the opposition in Sri Lanka and the head of the SJB opposition alliance. Mr. Premadasa, thank you very much for joining us. Can I ask you first that, what expectations, if any, do you have from Ranil Wickremesinghe? Will he, this time round as Prime Minister, you think, be able to do anything to allay the fears of people who are still protesting?
The Prime Minister was chosen by the President. The confidence in the Prime Minister has been established by the President. But I have to say the appointment was made without consulting the major opposition parties. Whether the crisis is going to be sorted out is a question left to the government. We, as a constructive and progressive opposition, we are determined to provide constructive, productive support for any positive proposals that are in hand to alleviate the suffering of the common masses. And we will support these proposals while being in opposition, because we have always requested for the President to remove himself from politics, because that is the outcry of the masses of Sri Lanka. And we cannot go back on the principled stand that we took. We are politicians of credibility and integrity, and people have trusted us to be the loyal opposition, and we will ensure that the people's wishes will be fulfilled. So while we ask for constitutional change, for the elimination of the presidential system, and for the resignation of the President, we will constructively and progressively support proposals that are put forth for alleviating the suffering of the masses of our motherland.
But Mr. Premadasa, there is no sign that President Rajapaksa is going to step down. Is this going to result in a deadlock for the foreseeable future? And also, even if he does resign, whoever takes charge of the country is faced with a very difficult task of rebuilding the country's economy.
It is because of the enormity of the task that the proposal that was mooted was an all-party government, an interim all-party government. But it seems that this is not an all-party government, but a government that is confined to a selected few, and that cannot be tolerated. We have to understand, we in the opposition received a mandate to be in opposition, not in government. So what you have here is a Prime Minister with him being the sole representative of his party, trying to run the government. We are not opposed to any policies that will ensure that food security is enhanced, that the food essentials, the fuel, the electricity, gas, fertilizer, basically the main ingredients for people of Sri Lanka to live. If proposals put forth resulting in such productive activities, we will support. We will support while being in the opposition, and our support for people-friendly policies are unconditional. Of course, there is an attempt by the governing party and the so-called governing elite to poach people from our party by providing them with perks, privileges, and ministerial positions. This we will not tolerate. If it comes to that, we in the opposition will not support the government at all. So, in the midst of this crisis, we should not engage in political conspiracies, in a game of political musical chairs. What ought to happen is to focus on the national challenges and national objectives. And we are there to support, to achieve those objectives.
Mr. Premadasa, finally, if I could ask you about, in terms of the help that Sri Lanka has got, particularly from India, how important has that lifeline been? Would you be appealing to India for any more aid, help at this time?
I have always maintained that irrespective of party politics, we need the support of the international community, including India. Let me take this opportunity to thank Sri Modi, His Excellency, the Prime Minister of India, the Government of India, and most important, the people of India, for the tremendous support that has been provided to ensure that people in Sri Lanka live, that their basic amenities are met, and that they're provided with food, fuel, gas, and so on and so forth, medical items, medical equipment. Indian assistance has been indispensable and most valuable. And I would encourage India to help my motherland more and more.
All right, Mr. Premadasa, thank you for joining us. I believe there's also an address to the nation by the new Prime Minister later today. Let's see whether he is able to throw up the concrete proposals that you're talking about in order to help the people of Sri Lanka come out of this crisis. Thanks very much.
Thank you.